What is going on, everybody? BobbyFi, and last week's runner-up in the Millionaire Maker, but still good for 100, and also nearly right there in the FanDuel as well. He finished 5th or 6th, I think, in that one. So we're you can listen to what Sheet says to say and not what I have to say, because I always hit my stride about week 4 or 5. So hopefully this is the week it happens. But I haven't won on a slate yet, Sheet. So I'm going to let you. I'm curious to see what you're getting early in the week. I targeted a bunch of games that I like this week. There's a lot to like in the afternoon. We've got a nice split. You know, there's what, 7 games in the morning, 4 games in the afternoon, but the 4 afternoon games are all like, I think you can make a case for all of them being like the best stacks on the slate. So it's kind of an interesting one. Talk a little bit of, for the people who haven't heard, a little bit about last week, and then we'll jump into the slate.
Yeah, I got second in the Millie Maker, just basically running my process the way I always do, which we go over live Sundays. So I encourage you guys to show up for that, and also encourage you to sign up for the site where we do some premium stuff and get into all of that. And we can reverse engineer what the lineup was to pretend that I did it on purpose, that particular lineup. But the important thing is to continue to develop the process on the inputs. That way, you don't have to worry about the outputs so much, and you can get to some of these lineups that otherwise you wouldn't have gotten to. Otherwise you wouldn't have gotten to. So, yeah, very, very good result. I'm already trying to focus on next week's stuff. And the first thing I noticed is something very similar. Not as exactly the same, but we just got news that that Jackson Dart is going to start for the Giants instead of Russell Wilson, and he is 4,500, and it reminds me of Carson Wentz last week. Carson Wentz was cheaper; he was 4K, but same idea in that you have a really cheap quarterback with like a higher price kind of stud receiver. Now you wouldn't think that he's a stud receiver based on his performance last week, but nonetheless, Malik Neighbors is he's going to be the main target there for several years. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So you'll be able to play those types of things. Do
you think anyone's actually going to do that?
I don't. Okay.
Well, for what it's worth.
The question I was going to ask, which is going to, kind of an important question, is who this dude is. Like I live in New York, but I don't follow like Giants radio or anything like that. Like the reason I ask is if he also had like some degree of rushing upside, that would be kind of cool to know. Because if he did, then if you got kind of singles with him at 4,500, that would it would make you feel okay. And the reason I bring that all up is that when we do our lineup builds, one of the key decisions I make before I run everything is whether to allow QB plus zeros. And last week, I wasn't sure about the Wentz and the Wentz and whatever his name was at Mariota, whether I should allow the QB plus zeros. And you astutely pointed out that forget not even Mariota, but Wentz last time he was in the league. I mean, he was running it up at 37 years old.
Shocking, yeah.
Well, and whether he did or not the other day, it doesn't even matter. The point is that you had that information to lead you to your entire build. So that's not the first thing about the slate. The other thing, again, overall about the slate to note is that there's a 9:30 game on Sunday from, I guess, Germany or London or Brazil or wherever they're playing. Mm-hmm. And the reason I pointed out is that means it's going to be a smaller main slate. Yeah. Which means I don't know exactly what it means, but it means something. It's naturally probably going to be a little lower scoring. You don't have to play.
I think it's going to be a much higher scoring slate.
Oh, you think so? Well, not because it's a smaller slate.
Yeah, just because the nature of the games.
Right. And also the smaller the slate, the less you really have to be as pure with your stacks. Like you don't have to do it whatever. So again, these are all things I think about before I put my inputs in, which is really not going to be till the end of the week. But I did run my projections today, my first run actually, and we could certainly go over game by game and who was good and things like that.
Yeah, we could talk through game by game. I want to point out there's the first thing I did was there's certain quarterbacks I'm just not playing. I'm not playing Jackson Dart against what might be the best defense in football. I think this is like just a terrible, terrible play. All the other quarterbacks are like, we say he's 4,500. Mac Jones is 5,100 against the Jags at home. I don't know why we would play Jackson Dart over that. Geno Smith is 5,400, and if I'm not mistaken,
when did Geno Smith do anything for anybody?
54. In case you guys didn't know, Sheets had there was a Geno Smith stack that came in second last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like Caleb Williams, who might be one of the highest like upside guys on the slate, at least from a throwing perspective, he's 5,800. And Jackson Dart, he can move a little to answer your question. But he's not like a guy who they're going to try and run plays for. Maybe they'll run one or something. I don't think they're going to do much. I'll share my screen and we'll go through game by game if that's okay with you. I love the game by game early. Worked out well for me last year when we did this. And
I've got a couple. I already have my top 4 stacks that we'll get to when we get to them. Nice. And I have my point per dollar plays, and we'll see what we can glean here.
Beautiful. Yeah, so I'm looking at this game between the Tennessee and at Houston first. The only play that stands out to me, and again, I'm going to change these things. I just like to make a little note to myself, but is because the low ownership, I have a little bit of interest in Nico Collins and a little bit of interest in Calvin Ridley, but it's really just ownership. And again, getting 6% or 7% of Nico Collins sounds good considering, the upside is massive, but this is not a game for DFS that I want to get after.
See, what's the Houston defense cost?
Houston's defense is, let me just see real quick, actually.
4K or something? I mean,
they're 3,400, and they're really good too.
Yeah. That's the only thing instinctively that stands out. And when you look at my projections, literally nothing stands out. So yeah, as a matter of fact, it's so funny. That's the first thing I did notice is the Texans do rate as the best defense, even point per dollar, despite their relatively lofty price tag. So keep that in mind. But it's got a sub 40 total, I guess, right? So, and Houston never throws the ball anymore, apparently.
I don't know what Houston does anymore, to be honest with you. They don't run the ball. They don't throw the ball.
They go 0-3 in 3 close games. That's what they do.
The one thing they do is they do get Nico Collins involved. That's the one thing they do.
Okay.
That's the one part I feel pretty good about saying. But also Tennessee, like they're not. This is no great team. I think this is this might be just a give up year for Houston, and I have a little bit of interest in Tennessee in this game. I just think Cam Ward is going to be a superstar. All right. So we talked about, you mentioned a little bit about the projection, the games that you like. This is one that I like. Atlanta just throw out last week, in my opinion. I don't think there was anything to glean from that. Just bizarre performance. They even moved the ball and they couldn't score. It was really weird early in the game, and the game just got away from them against Carolina. Atlanta's different at home. I actually still think Penix is better than probably most people do. Love this whole thing as a game stack. We'll see if Jaden Daniels or we get Mariota again at quarterback. I think either way, I'm interested in this game. And, you've got Drake London, who's cheap. And I don't think I'm going to be alone. Look, you can see the ownership here is pretty high. You've got a cheap Terry McLaurin. You're going to have a low-owned Deebo Samuel. I think there's a lot of ways you can get creative with this game. Obviously, it depends on who the quarterback is for Washington. But I like this spot, and this is one of my target games for the week, especially as we have high ownership on London and Bijan. We're not getting that much on the Washington side, so I think I can talk myself into this being one of the better stacks.
Yeah, I have the Drake London and Bijan as good plays as well. They're not one of my top favorite stacks, but just as individual plays, I like them. I don't know what to make of Penix, honestly. Listen, he's young, so nobody knows really what to make of him. But he's not particularly mobile, and I don't think he throws particularly long. You know what I mean?
He throws bullets, but I can agree with that.
So
I don't know though, because this Atlanta team, they never throw the ball. They don't air it out exactly like the way I thought.
No, they don't. And maybe it's like that hallucination of when you watch the lefties throw. You know what I mean? They just don't look like they throw it that far. They look like they throw it very nice and accurately, like everybody's Jim Zorn, moving up and down the field.
Right.
Just individually those two plays for me, and I'm not. I currently have Jaden Daniels projected to play, but who knows?
We'll see. It's early. We're on Wednesday, but if and by the way, if Jaden, wow, what just happened here? The status just went away for the question mark tags. Did you see that? I had my screen shared, and I had a Q tag next to Jaden Daniels, and
there it is. That's it.
So maybe he is officially in.
No, I think what it was is they heard that I said that I haven't projected, and automatically like
that's what it is. But yeah, talk about a massive upside for a quarterback with Daniels. I actually I think that Atlanta's got a reasonable enough defense. They just play in these wonky games where I always want to have a piece of them, especially when they're at home in the dome. All right, we'll move over to Carolina and New England. Anything showing up for you here outside of McMillan sheets? You got your Hunter Henry. You got your Hunter Henry guy.
Yeah,
again.
I mean, you know what? I like the New England's situation last week, but it was more for Pittsburgh. But because of the Pittsburgh, I thought that would be just, I thought that would shoot out a little bit.
You got unlucky with that take, by the way. I know you had a great week, so we don't need to worry about it. But like, they should have. I mean, what did they turned it over 3 times inside the opponent's 5. I mean, that's crazy.
I guess. But then I wonder if they didn't, how that would affect my DraftKings lineup. So it's
yeah. No, I just meant like your take though during the show, because I remember talking to you. You liked New England, and I actually agree with you.
And it was, I think Henry was the only guy I had from that team.
Yeah.
So I'm not. I don't think I would just intentionally go back to it though. McMillan, I have him projected okay. Not that great. But he's fine. Neither of these teams look to be one of my top stacks or anything like that. But they're in there. I mean, it's 44 points or something like that. But given that you said that you think it's going to be a high-scoring slate, I imagine we're going to get better spots later. So yeah. I think that New England, Carolina is going to be kind of secondary for me at best.
Yeah, the one thing is I want to make sure on these slates that I'm not like I don't have 0 of Drake May basically ever. I think as long as he's 5,500. I mean, look, we're talking about a guy with I think he's got monster upside. He's got the rushing upside, and then pretty clearly was targeting Henry every time it really mattered last week. And I am okay with playing 4K for Hunter Henry and Drake May as a very skinny stack with maybe McMillan on the other side. But like you said, and by the way, it allows you to get to some of those other great plays in these other great games. So I'm not writing it off, but it's definitely not a go out of my way thing. It's just I want to be on the Drake May when he has the 30 plus fantasy points at 5,500. It's going to happen at some point. I just don't know when. All right. This is an interesting matchup. And this is just for what it's worth. Like Philadelphia always, I can't even talk about Philadelphia. I'm frustrated for my Rams last week. The Rams, that's the most dominant you could be in a game and still lose. I don't know how they lost that game. I mean, 2 missed field goals getting blocked at the end where the center literally didn't block anybody for a 40-yarder. That hurts. But they obviously went out to a huge lead. I think the Rams are one of the best teams in football. Tampa Bay always beats Philly. Even they're the last team to beat Philly with Jalen Hurts, I believe, as quarterback. They might be the last team to beat Philly, period. They play him tough. I hate this ownership on Saquon. If this is real, the Saquon Barkley thing, and I look, I got him really wrong last week, but I think Saquon Barkley is a terrible play. I say it every week, and I'm right every single week about this. You do not take running backs against Tampa Bay. You just don't do it. Now, he busted to the outside, so he's not running up the middle as much as some of the other running backs. Maybe you could argue for that. But I hate this early projection on Barkley being so high. I actually like the idea of the Philly passing game a little bit here. And on the Tampa Bay side, Igbuka, we're going to have to acknowledge that he's getting the work. We're supposed to have Godwin back, but there seems like we're going to have him in a limited fashion based on the projections. So I kind of want to wait till the ownership goes somewhere. But this is a sort of a tier 2 game for me this week. But it is a game that I do like, that I do think has a potential to get there stack wise. What do you think about this?
So I have a sort of weird take on this. I mean, it's not weird for a lot of people, but it's like weird for me. It's not the type of thing that I like to do a lot. But but it sort of feeds off of something you said a little bit. I mean, I have 4 stacks I like, and I'm really into the Philly side here.
Okay.
Specifically the passing game.
Yep.
As you mentioned. Philly coming off of, the Super Bowl has been, pedestrian, I guess. They've been okay. Not great, not whatever. They played a very, very good team in the Rams, and something kind of telling. Now I know this is kind of like his rap or whatever, but when they blocked that field goal, by the way, to cover the spread as well when they scored the
Yeah,
touchdown.
the whole thing was crazy.
But they have all these like videos of focusing on Jalen Hurts during that whole play, when the rest of the team was like going freaking ballistic and bananas, right? He like did not like have any emotion at all. He just basically walked off the field, you know. And I think that Philly was so, like you said, they got kind of embarrassed on the field. They really did get crushed. Okay.
Yeah.
They ended up winning, but that's the way it goes. And I think this hurts, and I think the team kind of realizes that. And I think that they're going to put up a really good performance this week. And you have Tampa, who, for my money, has been walking through the raindrops. Okay,
they absolutely have.
They played the Falcons, who are just whatever, and they miracle won that game.
Miracle
they
won.
Played Houston, they miracle won that game.
Yep.
Then they played the Jets, and they miracle won that game. Okay, like they were winning, and then they tried to give it away, and they couldn't. Okay, and the other thing is that Baker Mayfield. I mean, I don't. Did we talk about this last week? I forget if we did, but according to some, believe it or not, like according to some of the like advanced stats by some of the advanced nerds or whatever it is, he's actually one of like the worst quarterbacks in the league this year.
So it's weird because he's got like the best stats in the league in one way, and then also like he's supposed to have thrown 7 interceptions.
That's what I'm saying. So I think that I think the Philly's going to have a big game, and I think it's going to go exactly like you said. I think it's going to go in the passing game, and I think, like you said, if people are going to play anybody from this game, they're probably going to play Barkley because they always do, whatever. And I'm kind of down with at least conceptually by playing Hurts with the receivers. And yeah, you could certainly run it back with any if you want to do it this way, run it back with any of that Tampa stuff. You know, whether it be, remember Evans is out, right? So it's Mbuka, maybe Godwin, whoever plays. You know what I mean? Wherever, even Sterling Shepard or somebody, you know, whatever. Yeah, I kind of like this game.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an interesting one too. And like I said, I really think I already put this limit on. I am not into this Barkley idea. I think this is I just want to emphasize how bad of it. Just look at running backs against Atlanta. Like Bijan had an okay game because he had a 70-yard catch and touchdown on the outside. Barkley will line up some on the outside, not as much as Bijan does. I just don't know who runs the ball on Tampa as long as Vita Vea is there. I just don't see it happening. All right, we get over to New Orleans, Buffalo. I don't expect this game to be close. I'm surprised at this James Cook ownership isn't really high. Now, you do have the other running backs that get involved a little bit, but I think this is a smash James Cook spot. And that's really the play in the game. I guess he and Juwan Johnson are the two plays I like in this game. We can keep trying to do the Olave thing. What makes it interesting is that New Orleans gets a lot of plays off, okay? Which means that it opens up the opportunities for both sides, but I think Juwan Johnson and Cook are the only thing that I can really talk myself into right now. How about you? And I guess the Buffalo.
I mean, you know, I think Cook is a smash play here. I mean, the last thing that Buffalo wants or needs is for Josh Allen to get hurt in a game like this. You know? Yeah. And you know, this is, and that's not to say he can't get 4 touchdowns anyway. You know. But it's gonna be James Cook season until, in my opinion at least, until maybe the end of the third quarter if things go their way, right?
Right.
So I'm not gonna play Buffalo receivers or anything like that. I don't think I'll end up playing much of Josh Allen. But James Cook to me seems like a pretty obvious play actually. But I guess he's not projecting all that well. The Olave, I think Olave, if I'm not mistaken, he has like the most targets in the whole league or something like that.
I heard something like that. I don't know if that's exactly right, but it's probably close.
I think that's true. Well, you know, considering that they're going to be behind most of the game and New Orleans gets off a lot of plays anyway, certainly going to get a lot of targets. But, you know, like Buffalo might let them get them. You know what I mean? Like Buffalo plays that zone. They play that zone, whatever.
Yeah.
And if
they're 8 yards at
if they're leading, Olave he could rack up like a bunch of garbage points. He really can.
That's fair.
One thing I will say about New Orleans is that because I was sweating them a little bit last week because I had Seattle against them in like Survivor and stuff, is that one thing about New Orleans, they might not have any talent, they might not do whatever. They really did like kind of play to win, like and like all the way until they till the end, sort of like they were like, even though the game was like over, like almost approaching halftime, they were like calling timeouts on the other side of the field, making sure they got the ball back, trying to maximize whatever they freaking could. You know what I mean? So they want to get a lot of plays off. They want to get a lot of reps off. They want to play football. They just don't really quite have the talent to compete right now with some of these teams. And certainly they don't have the talent to compete with Buffalo, especially on the road. But they're not gonna to cave it in if it's 28 to 3 or 35 to 3. They are just gonna keep on slinging it.
Yeah.
So if Buffalo is content with their 35-point win, and again, this doesn't have to work out this way, but they'll just play their freaking zone, and Olave could end up with like 14 for 100. You know what I mean? It's very possible. So I'm not discounting that. I also think he's probably going to get some ownership just because of everything I just said. But aside from that, Cook, Olave, and that's it.
Yeah, I think those are good points. I'm just trying to take a look at something because I mean, like, that's the argument for Kamara too, right? Like, he's going to get like
except Kamara is like so injury prone anyway. Like, I don't know if they would overwork him. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know if he got that much last week in the Seattle game. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what his numbers were, but I don't remember him getting too much after that game was over. So maybe.
But he had, like, even in that game, which was even if this game blows out, I don't think it's going to be 35-0 in the first quarter or whatever.
Right.
I just think that I just thought he got he gets those little dump downs, 7 or 8 of those a game, and maybe he breaks one play and then runs for 50 yards. That's 20 fantasy points. Well, I do want to point out why James Cook is being James Cook. I mean, Saquon is the cheapest we've ever seen him. That's why the people are playing him. And James Cook is basically the same, 71 versus 7,200. That's I think why the ownership, I hope, stays low on James Cook, because I would much rather play James Cook this week than Saquon, and I don't think I've ever said that before in my life. All right, well, now we get the cheap running back of this slate, and by the way, I hope the best for Jackson Dart. From what I've heard, he can really sling it, and a lot of guys really like him. I think this is a pretty brutal situation. At least he's at home, I guess, is the thinking. But I think the Chargers legitimately may have the best defense in football. They're right there. They're in the top 5. They don't give up anything. For me, this is an Amari and Hampton, Cam Scatabo, cheap running back or nothing else game. And the defense for the Chargers. That's it.
I agree with that. I like both of those running backs, Scatabo and Hampton for the Chargers. But I do like Neighbors as well for the Giants.
Okay.
Just for not the exact same reasons as the Olave, whatever, but similar. I mean, like, if you're going to throw this guy in, first guy he's going to look for is the best player. You know what I mean? And so, we'll see what else there is on the board. But I think Neighbors is totally reasonable. Scatterbo, especially with Tracy probably out, right? It's like it's all Scatterbo, isn't it? I mean, I don't know.
And this Chargers projection, by the way, it is Scatterbo. But this Chargers projection is kind of insane. Why is this not like 3 points higher, at least their defense? This to me is the obvious defense of the week. That'll be the defense that I play the most, which means 20%. But I mean, you've got Jackson Dart coming in for his first game on a banged up team that can't do anything except for against the Cowboys, which everybody can. I think it's kind of time. I don't know. I think we have to play the Chargers defense pretty heavily. I actually might go higher, and sort of like my take last week with there's these obvious spots and no one's playing them for some reason. I can't figure out why.
Okay, so question is Cleveland's defense good enough? I mean, to stop the final return of the Detroit Lions, which is looking pretty scary for the rest of the league, honestly. So Cleveland's played nothing but tough defense the whole season, but now they're in the dome in Detroit. It's a different animal than being at home against Green Bay. It's also sort of a different animal than playing the Ravens, and they gave up the end 40 against them anyway. Yeah. I think Detroit's probably going to score a bunch here. I'm not really getting them too much though in my projections, really. So, what do you like in this game?
Yeah, I'll do my normal thing that I always play Jamison Williams a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah.
Just making my little note because I do think the upside is massive and he can get lost behind the defense. Now, Denzel Ward's an excellent corner and can't exactly match up with St. Brown that often because St. Brown's going to line up in the slot so much. He will when he's on the outside. I'm guessing most of the time Denzel Ward match up with St. Brown. I have a lot of respect for this Cleveland defense. I still think Detroit's going to end up with like 30 plus points. It's just their offense can't move the ball enough. Is it enough to take a shot with Gibbs or Montgomery? For some reason, this feels like maybe another Montgomery spot. Yeah, I think Montgomery is reasonable. I don't think Gibbs is probably going to make it for me, but I could see them giving Montgomery the ball near the goal line. He could end up with a couple scores. He doesn't even need to do that much offensively. But nothing that screams of interest to me. I still have respect for that Cleveland defense, but like you said, indoors in Detroit, that's a very different game.
So I'm going to go back in this Jacksonville, San Francisco. One of my again, I talked about Philly already. I got a couple more, but I go right back to the San Francisco with these same dudes from last week. The like Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, Christian McCaffrey. Like Jacksonville, you could score on, and I kind of liked pairing Max Jones with all these guys. I mean, I didn't need the Mac Jones part last week, but they're showing up as a decent stack for this week, so I kind of like that. So I do like San Francisco and McCaffrey and all of them. Like you said, McCaffrey has the healthiest calf injury apparently in the world. And he's not even run that great. You know what I mean? He got goal line stood up. You know what I mean? Like he actually hasn't even run that hot.
No, he has not looked. He has not, and he's looked okay. Like he's looked good. Like he's okay. Yeah, exactly. But it's not like there's been like these big plays like we're used to seeing from the past. But this might be the week where it happens.
Yeah. So, and I don't see much from Jacksonville.
Yeah, I love this game stack. This is another one that I've got as. I mean, all these afternoon games are pretty high on my list. This is just seems like a great spot to attack both sides. I am not a believer. I think San Francisco is not nearly as good. I mean, I know they're 3-0 right now. Play somebody. Even after this week, they're not going to change my mind this week. We'll see what happens when they play the Rams. I like it as a game stack. I have interest in both quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence is super cheap. Like that might be like a force it in play for me. Mac Jones looked more mobile and stuff than people thought. Jennings is back this week. Pearsall's this projection and ownership is probably going to change. Well, we'll see what happens by the end of the week. But Jennings is truly the one receiver with Pearsall as the number 2 when they're in there. But that could very easily change. I mean, remember, Ricky Pearsall's in his second year, and he was shot last year at a liquor store robbery, so he missed the first whatever games of the year. So we haven't really seen him have it consistently. But I'm kind of in on this one. I even think as a cheap play, Parker Washington is a guy who I want to look at later on. We don't have a ton of super cheap receivers. So I'm kind of into this. Is a cheap game stack. I think this could be some goodness. And by the way, it doesn't matter. We can let Late Swap decide for us because we've got a lot of good situations here coming up. I guess we can shift over to the Indy and the Rams.
Yeah. So in a weird version of the Matrix, this could be a preview of something. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
not exactly, but not that far. I mean, I guess more so for Indy than whatever. But Indy has been great. I mean, they haven't played anybody, but they've looked good doing it. You know what I mean? It's like they've played very, very well. They've like took care of their business. So they look really good. And the Rams, as you mentioned, look just awesome. It's a good litmus test. It really is. I personally am really on the Rams this week. It looks like right from the beginning. They currently rate as my top overall like stack, like Stafford, Nakua, Adams. Like I don't know if you can afford them all, whatever, but some derivative of that. I like that a lot. As far as the Colts go, I mean, as I mentioned like last week, Jonathan Taylor's like you got a fully healthy Jonathan Taylor with like 100% usage. I mean, he's awesome. So I do like that. On the Rams turf, let's put some points up, I think.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so the the potential bold take for me is that the Rams might win this game like 45-10. They're not usually the team that goes out there and is out there pummeling. But after the weird loss last week, and I'll take my victory lap that Indy was going to be really solid this year. I think they've already made the case for it. This could be where it gets a little bit out of hand. The Rams pass rush is awesome. They haven't been run on yet by anybody, including Saquon last week, which I thought maybe that would be the breakthrough against them. But we're really going to play. So nobody's going to play Jonathan Taylor. Let me just understand it clearly. And I love Jonathan Taylor, so I don't want to say, but no one wants to play Saquon against the Rams, but everybody wants to play Jonathan Taylor against the Rams after Saquon got shut down. I don't exactly understand it. Something's not quite measuring right with my brain here. Again, give me the over Jonathan Taylor this week. I'll take Dalvin Cook. Jonathan Taylor is a great player, great running back, but are they really going to be able just to move the Rams out of the way? My favorite play in this game is on Indy's side is Tyler Warren. This guy's going to be one of the best tight ends in football if he's not already. And I love both Nakua and Adams, but I don't particularly love the Stafford stack. What I was trying to figure out earlier is, can I just play a skinny stack Daniel Jones to Tyler Warren and then play both Nakua and Adams on the other side? It's kind of a weird way of going about it, just because Daniel Jones has the rushing upside. I don't love playing quarterbacks on main slates without rushing upside, but I think you want to get a little bit of exposure to Stafford in that stack. So I'm okay with it. But it's funny, I see the upside for Daniel Jones, but I also could see this being like a pummeling. That's my only fear for it. I really think the Rams are much better than Indianapolis, and Indianapolis looked really good. But going out west, I think this is a spot where the Rams could really, what are they, they're 4-point favorites? Actually might be higher in real life. I think the Rams might put it to them. That's my only fear. Otherwise, love the game stack.
Bears Vegas. I don't know what the ownership is here, but I would hope that people would want to play this game.
Yeah.
The Bears are like kind of like Coors Field nowadays. Wherever they go, they give up stuff, and they're starting to put the offense together as well. And Vegas, they did me right last week. 49-point total, even spread. I'm down with all of this, and I'll be happy with the same dudes I had with Vegas last week. Honestly, like maybe Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers won't combine to get half the points of Trey Tucker this time. Okay, but
they're not even half sheets.
Right. But also all these guys, let's get them all in, and let's put a Doomsday back out there, and Caleb Williams and DJ Moore, and shuffle them up and let them fly.
Yep. This feels like the most obvious stacking spot of the week for me.
Yep.
I really was mad about I was very happy for you, very mad at myself I liked Trey Tucker as a play. I mean, remember, this guy was actually like a pick, and they're using him. He had 8 targets the week before against the Chargers.
He was 29%. He was 29% owned in Showdown, by the way.
Trey Tucker?
Yeah.
There was a show. You played the Showdown with me?
No, not that game. And the previous week, he was like the ultimate value play, and everybody wanted to play him. And with the classic, like, nope, sorry.
Yeah, and he. I mean, look, he only had 3 catches, but he had 8 targets, and he had another 9 last week. I don't know why at 4,200 we would jump away from this.
Keep doing it.
I don't know what's making us do that. I also think, though, the one thing I do like here is taking a shot on DJ Moore, and everything's going against it. Just the ownership being low and in a game that I really want exposure to. Maybe there's too much bias on Bowers and Moore, and I guess not enough bias on Trey Tucker.
Right.
And I think we get involved in all that. I think that's how you make the stack different, because we say that Chicago's Coors Field. I think that we can make the argument the Raiders are Coors Field.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, so you got the double Coors game. That's awesome. So this is the one that people are going to play in the afternoon. But the way to get different, I think, is the Bowers, Tucker, and Moore. And we'll see where they end up by the end of the week. But I think those are the guys you're looking at.
Okay, so I have a really, really just, again, like really anti-Sheets take, like on this last game. Okay? Again, I don't really bet football.
Yeah.
I actually really like the Chiefs this week.
Yeah, fair enough, whatever.
They've looked so bad, like just so awful. And Baltimore looks so good. And you're getting KC at home +3.
Well, Baltimore's offense looks good. Their defense was
that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Like if again, I don't know if I'm actually going to do this, but I don't think people are expecting this game to shoot out. You know what I mean? Like I think that people are looking at this as, I don't know, that KC is just kind of like slow and dead and whatever it is. I don't think I've ever like played Kansas City as like a stack in like the regular season. I wonder if I can get away with it. Like you mentioned, like Baltimore, listen, it's been against Buffalo and like good teams, but people have been moving the ball against them, So maybe this is like the week Kansas City just kind of jumps. Listen, they got their win under their belt, and now maybe they actually put some points on the board. I don't know if I can prioritize them over like pretty much anybody else from the 4 p.m. games that we discussed. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's pretty much
that is the problem.
I'll probably end up staying away at the end of the day. But that I just got this weird feeling Kansas City puts up a good game.
Well, maybe you play it on the afternoon slate. It's still going to be low owned.
They're going to be same percent owned on the afternoon slate. They'll maybe even be lower owned on the afternoon slate because all they're competing against is these other big spots. It's like,
yeah. I'm gonna have to 1 minute. I'm gonna have to get out of here, but yeah, I think this game is probably not my favorite, but I don't mind the cheap stack just because of the pricing, and you're getting Worthy back. You got Brown.
I didn't know. I didn't even know that.
I think you could definitely make a case here. And the
well, you know what? You're losing your connection, which is a perfect segue to the ending of the show. We will see you guys like throughout the week. I think.
Sorry about that. I froze.
I think you might be doing one with McCool later. Well, in any case,
I'm gonna. I know that tomorrow.
Anyway.